We all want to be in the right place at the right time, receiving answers to our prayers, getting signs and synchronicities from the universe, being in touch with our intuition. And this video is just going to talk a little bit about ways that we can make that happen for us a little bit easier, and what my experience has been before and after my out of body experience in my car accident. So when I grew up in Christianity, and there was a lot of talk about prayer and trust, and it all sounded great, but it was a little bit vague. And I didn't see anybody around me. I didn't see any role models actively like getting answers to their prayers, having signs and synchronicities happen. I just didn't see it. So it was kind of weird. The people that were teaching about this weren't really embodying it. Um, Fast forward to after I had my car accident, my out of body experience, there was a period of about 2 years that followed where I was experiencing it a lot. It was like I would just think of somebody and they would text me, even someone I hadn't heard from for a long time. Um, I would meet somebody just randomly, and we had so much in common and so much to talk about, and would just like go and embark on a project together. It was just kind of like everything always just lined up perfectly. After that 2 year period of bliss passed, I kind of went a little bit back to how things were before. Although now I had the knowledge of the contrast, I now knew what was available to a human being. Um, and that next period of time was a lot of purging. When the light of God comes to us in our spiritual awakening process, it shines the light on all these beautiful things sometimes. But light is light, and it's going to shine on whatever's there. And so we all have a lot of toxic things that we've hidden from ourselves or ignored. And the light of God will shine on those things like a closet full of trash. And it's not a bad thing. The trash has probably been there for a long time, so it's great. If we're starting to notice these things about ourselves, it's an opportunity to shift into something else. But after those 2 years, I wasn't experiencing so much of this magic because I was just seeing a lot of the trash. Um, and so my vibration was a lot lower, and it's not a bad thing if your vibration goes lower. It just means we're learning certain things down there while we're cleaning up. Um, but then it kind of would come through in more waves. So a wave of trash would get cleaned out, and it would be difficult and uncomfortable. But after the wave was finished, there would be magic that came back. Sometimes I would see um, these numbers series. I see 1111 or 444 everywhere, and sometimes multiple times in the same day, whether it's like on a license plate or on the clock or something on my cell phone. And a lot of people would just kind of maybe roll their eyes or say, "Oh, that was a coincidence," and that's fine. But those people are never going to get on the path of this kind of magic. And I noticed that the universe would respond to me when I paid attention to these synchronicities, even if they hardly came. So, for example, if I saw 444, several times in one day, and then I looked up what is the meaning of 444 on the internet, and I would read the message, and it would be a real message that was really impactful for me. And then me engaging with that, just looking it up and doing like 2 minutes of research, would invite more synchronicities. And I would sometimes write them down in my journal or tell somebody. And then my response of acknowledging them or being grateful for them would bring more of them. So if you're somebody who doesn't experience too many synchronicities, or you think things are kind of like a coincidence, I would invite you to do a harmless experiment where when the next time you have a so-called coincidence, engage with it. Write it down in your journal, tell somebody, do a bit of research about it, and watch how more of them will show up and show up and show up to the point where at some point you'll realize that they actually are not coincidences, but it's the universe communicating with you. This is called the law of divine oneness. So, if you know anything about universal law, which is very interesting, and I encourage everyone to look into and learn, it basically talks about the interconnectedness of all things. And so, the things that we pay attention to and we connect with, then we're just going to get more of those things and we're going to feel more connected. I have found that the basic things like eating clean, moving your body, being in nature, drinking a lot of water, thinking good thoughts, kind of disengaging from negative thinking, those are some pretty basic things that can help you raise your vibration. Beyond that, though, coming to more of an understanding of universal law has been really helpful. So when we follow universal law, we notice universal law, we are naturally putting ourselves in the right place at the right time for the best possible outcome. Um, we all we all believe in some laws, like the law of gravity, because if I pick up something and I drop it, like I know it's going to fall, and we live our life to stay safe and not, fall off a bridge. We really believe in the law of gravity, even though it's invisible. And we believe in it because it has an immediate result. But the universal laws don't all have immediate results, and that's why a lot of people don't notice them or believe in them. We're not taught about them from our parents and grandparents because they probably weren't taught about them. But on the spiritual path, we start to notice that they are real, and we can use them to our advantage. The law of gravity is not good or bad, it just is, and we can use it to our advantage. Same as like a rushing river, like it's not good or bad, it's just a force. But understanding that force can, bring something really good. Not understanding that force can cause someone to drown. So if I jump into a rushing river because I don't understand it, I might drown. But the person who understands the power of the river could probably set up some sort of contraption to generate electricity and be taking the free power from the river. So understanding the different forces that are at work is something that on the spiritual path can be really beneficial. And when we're operating within those more and more of the time, we are much more likely to get answers to prayers and synchronicities because we are aligning with nature and its forces, which we have been stepping away from into the artificial world that we live in. We're the ones who have stepped out and into our homes away from the sunlight, staring at screens, and like plowing through and working really hard even when we're tired. Like we're not going according to the flow. And then here we are hoping for answers to our prayers, hoping for signs and synchronicities, hoping to be connected to, the world, nature, interconnectivity, when we're the ones that have stepped out. So if you want to get connected, you got to step back in. And we're all learning together on the spiritual path how we can step back in. Understanding the law of vibration is another one. If I'm kind of vibrating low and I'm thinking negative thoughts all the time, the law of vibration basically says the types of people that I'm going to run into in real life or online are going to be also people who are mostly thinking negative thoughts. That's a lot of negative thought people coming together, and it's also a lot of motivation to step out of a lot of negative thoughts because I don't want more people around that are thinking negative thoughts. When it comes to prayer, prayer is something that's become really important in my life. Like I said, I grew up in Christianity, and there was a lot of people talking about prayer, but it was like really dry and just like lists of people you're supposed to pray for. Yeah, it just didn't really like resonate. I didn't see a lot of answers to prayer. But when we pray, we don't have to go into big long stories or big long requests. It's like this ongoing relationship where we're saying thank you for things. Like if I step inside after a walk and then the rain pours, I'll say thank you because I didn't get wet. I got home right at the right time, And then when I have a crisis and I have to say a prayer and ask for help, then it's not like I only show up when I need something. Um, I have to make a decision and I don't know what to do. It's like, I could use some help. Please guide me somehow in how to make this decision. And then let it go. This is where it's time to just surrender, let it go, and focus on something else. And allow the answer to come, however it's going to come. And I had a dream the other night. Just before, I couldn't remember most of the dream, but I remember the very last bit. There was some sort of a spirit guide in the dream telling me I only had to do 1 out of 5. I only had to do 1 out of 5. And after I woke up, I knew what they were talking about. I just needed to put out intention and prayer for what it is that I needed and do like 1/5 of the work. I had to show up a little bit, take some responsibility, but let the 4 out of 5, the 80%, be taken care of by other people and the universe. There's a universal law called the law of inspired action, and that basically means that we just need to take some sort of a step to invite in and make space for that thing that we are looking for. And only you know what that is. For me, sometimes if there's nothing that I can even do with what it is I'm praying for, I'll just tell someone. Tell a friend, hey, I'm praying for this. I'll let you know what the answer is when it comes. And just like stepping into the faith by using my voice, even if I sound kind of crazy for doing it. And so, more and more just understanding these natural laws, we're putting ourselves in a position where we're stepping out of this artificial way of being where we're just like not taking care of ourselves and we're worrying and we're trying to do everything ourselves. We're taking ourselves out of that and living a little bit more like, the animals do. Knowing your seasons, like the seasons of the year, the seasons of your month, your week, your day, as in, knowing when your spring and summer is, where you have the most energy to do things and doing your things during that time, doing all the big things. And then in times where you're just a little bit more tired and more inward and reserved, not doing things during those times. For me, it's my menstrual cycle. For like 7 days out of the month, I hardly do anything. And, we're taught that all year round, all month long, all week long, all day long, we're supposed to be plowing through and producing more and more and more and more and more. But that doesn't follow nature. And then that makes us more tired and sick. And then being more tired and sick lowers our vibration. And then when our vibration is lower, how can we be interacting with signs and synchronicities? How can we be in the right place at the right time? And so knowing when your energy is going up and when it's coming down, and then responding and listening the way a cat or a dog would do. You see them sleeping when they're tired and running around when they have the energy. And so we're trying to go back to nature because the Creator, the Great Spirit, set up a system for us that we have stepped out of artificially. And then we're hoping to get signs and synchronicities and intuition and being in the flow when we've actually stepped out of the system that was made for us to be in that flow. So figuring out how to get back into that involves a lot of understanding more about universal law. And if you want me to make a video more about universal law, just drop it in the comments and I would be happy to talk more about it because it's something that I'm really passionate about. And wanting to get more in touch with the intuition requires a lot of relaxation. If we're not relaxed, for big portions of our day, for most of our day, we're not going to get into that brain state that, I don't know what it's called, it's like the brainwave state that's slow enough to pick up on what's going on in the energy field. With all the stimulants we have and the worry that we have and the screen time that we have, we're so frenetic and neurotic, and our frenetic nature is doing zzz, and nature is like going like this, and we're not able to like connect with the field properly. We created this matrix, this artificial field. And so being really mindful of how you can step out of that as often as possible into something that's a little bit more natural. So those are some of the ways that have helped me, be in the right place at the right time, and bring the brain state into something that's a little bit more natural, so that I can connect with that field, and it's available to everybody. It's available to everybody. And if you don't really know where to start, I would suggest putting out a prayer, putting out an intention, and saying, I intend to step out of this artificial way of being, because I'm sick of it, and I want to be more connected to my intuition. I want answers to prayer. I want to be in the right place at the right time. I want to raise my vibration. And I know that me and my society have gone the wrong way, and I want to start getting back into the right way, the natural way, the way I was created to be. Because we were created to have answers to our prayers. We were created to be in touch with our intuition. We were created to walk into opportunities right at the right place at the right time. So that's my prayer for everyone watching this, is that we move more into that, and as a result, more into our personal power.